In this video, I'm going to show you how we fixed a small dog's incessant jumping up on visitors in just one training session. The approaches we used are very easy. You can replicate all of them at home. So let's go! Today I met with a lovely couple and their two small dogs, Maggie and Goober. Goober is an older dog, he's already 10 years old and he's pretty mellow, but Maggie is only 3 years old and she is really a bundle of energy. Now, while both of these dogs are fairly small, the owners have grandchildren and Maggie jumps incessantly on the grandchildren, scaring them, and they really wanted to stop this behavior. So I came to them to discuss a multifaceted approach to really nip this in the bud. I always start every in-person session out by sitting down with the family and really discussing their goals. I want to know what kind of training they have already tried. I want to know what the daily schedule of the dog looks like. And especially, I want to know everything about the problem behavior that I can. Because the better I understand what triggers the behavior, what approaches seem to work a little bit, what approaches seem to make it worse, in all of which situations they see this kind of behavior, the better I can help them. So we sat down, we started discussing, and pretty soon it became apparent that this seems to be a very over-the-top behavior that Maggie displays in the first 5 to 10 minutes of people coming to the house. They said that after this time she does settle down, and they also said that when they are out and about with Maggie, such as for example taking her to a restaurant patio, they do not see this behavior at all. Which was good news because it tells me that Maggie does have the ability to settle and she does generally have the skill to not be too hyper around people. It's just that in this specific situation of people entering the home, we've built up an expectation that something really grand is going to happen. And actually, every time that we're trying to retrain some ingrained behavior pattern like this, we want to ask ourselves, what is the expectation that the dog carries? Because all kind of over-the-top, hyper, super energetic behavior, it all stems from the dog having a certain belief for what's about to happen. In the case of Maggie, she did expect craziness. She did expect that some wild jumping and play and a ton of attention was going to happen. So subsequently, as soon as people approached the house, she would feel very wound up. And then these wound up emotions would feed into the behavior, and so we had a spiral going. I discussed with the owners that first of all, I would like to implement some management to reshape this expectation. So instead of just waiting for people to appear at the door, I wanted to create a routine where we put Maggie behind the baby gate or into a different part of the house where she's aware of the visitors coming, but she cannot directly have access to them. And then we also discussed using some kind of an enrichment toy for licking or chewing when the visitors arrive. The idea behind this is that licking, chewing, sniffing are all very calming activities. And calm is the big new energy that we want to attach to this situation. Now, lucky for us, Maggie's a very food-driven dog. She definitely very much liked the lick mat that I had brought to the session. And right away, she was able to engage with that lick mat while I was there without jumping up on me. That was a really good sign. I thought this training is probably going to go very well since Maggie is so food-driven. So I gave this to them as the first task to plan ahead when visitors come, make sure they have some kind of enrichment prepared, and give that to the dog before we get into this spiral of getting wound up and escalating and jumping and just being too hyper to train. Now, this was management. I also showed them a training exercise that we can do to teach Maggie to not jump up. Many people have exactly the wrong approach when dogs are jumping. We tend to look at them, we tend to try and give them commands such as off or down. We tend to pet them in an effort to calm them down or maybe to reward them for staying down. And this is just really way too much input for the dog. So for dogs, if we talk to them, it usually makes them more excited. If we touch them, it makes many dogs very excited. If we look them in the face, it's really an invitation. And from the dog's point of view, they don't understand why suddenly we don't want to engage after we've shown them through touch and talk and eye contact that clearly we definitely want to engage. So I showed them how when I am working with Maggie, I actually was very quiet. I did not touch her. I didn't look her in the face. I simply delivered treats on the ground. Because when we're asking a dog to sit, we're really just putting them into a pre-jumping position. Whereas when we're rewarding them for 4 on the floor with their head held low, we're actually having them get into a position and reinforcing a position that's in direct contrast to jumping. Finally, we also discussed making some adjustments to Maggie's exercise schedule. So Maggie has a couple shorter leash walks every day, but as a dog that really has a ton of energy, I encourage the owners to definitely take her on some longer walks, see if they can have some longer play sessions with her. I also showed them this very fun energy burning game. If you've been with us for a while, you definitely know this game of jumping back and forth over the leg, which can burn off a ton of steam in a very short time. I recommended that they do this every time before they expect visitors to take off the edge. So, our approach was that we no longer have the chaos unfold at the door. Instead, we are going to have Maggie put away with her enrichment when visitors enter so that we can reshape the expectation that she has for people coming over. Then I showed them the exercise of rewarding the dog on the floor with the head held low, because this is very much countering the jumping up position. And we also made sure that Maggie has sufficient physical exercise. As a young, energetic dog, that's really important. Last but not least, Maggie's a small dog. She's actually in really good physical shape. We want to keep it this way. So I made sure to explain to the owners that we want to always deduct the amount of calories that Maggie eats in training or through enrichment from the overall daily food that she gets, to make sure that she only gains skills and not pounds. I hope this was helpful for you. I love sharing my in-person sessions with you guys. If you have any questions, as always, just drop a comment and I'd be happy to help you. Happy training!